Hi guys, welcome to jordiequeen vlogs. So I did a vlog the other day and I did it on my webcam and I noticed that it was probably gonna cut out again, and that's because the connection with my Wi-Fi and all that isn't perfect. So I kind of wanted to do this one again just because it was personal and I wanted you guys to be able to hear the story without cutoffs and all that. I did type a lot of it, but unfortunately, the first part I typed because I was saying it and the audio, something happened with the audio and I couldn't get it off, like it all erased. Luckily, it didn't erase everything, but it erased 700 words of what I had said, so I'm gonna just try and really say all those words again by myself, and then I can get back on track with what I've typed. So the subject was, I'm going to tell you about my concussions in the past few years. So the other night, my ceilings are slanted. I don't know if you could see that. I was about to go to bed and I really wanted to get my cat out of my room because they were spraying all over my stuff. I have nowhere to put my stuff because I'm still in the process of moving in this room. And I picked him up and I must have forgot about the slanted ceilings because I hit my head in the back, and that night I had a seizure. And I was like, oh, it must have been just a seizure from the impact because I did hit it on the right side where my disease is. So I went like a day without one, and I was like, oh, it must have just been, a freak accident or something like that. But the next day I had seizure activity again, and then last night I did as well. So I called my neurologist today and I warned them, and they haven't called me back yet, so I'm not sure where they're gonna state what they should do or what I should do. But this is like my fifth or sixth concussion in a matter of 6 years. Not 6 years, 2 years actually. About 3 months ago, I really hit my head on a ceiling, not a ceiling, a windowsill. And I hit it like in the corners. So it made like a dent right here, which I didn't notice at first. To be honest, that night that I hit it, I just waited a little while. I did like a trick that I do now that I learned where you flash the light in your eyes and you see if your eyes are still dilating, and if they are, then that means you're all right. And I didn't think really anything of it because I've had concussions in the past. So I just went to sleep, and I woke up the next day, 5 o'clock, had to go to work, and I walked to work, and the whole left side of my head felt really heavy, but I still thought, well, it's gonna hurt, right? And so I thought nothing of it for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, one night I was closing, because now I open usually, but I did open that day, and at 9 o'clock my boss hit me up and said, can you close? Can you leave now? And you'll have a few hours to go home and get ready for closing. And I said, yeah, sure. She was looking at her house that evening, so I wanted to give her her night to go look at our house. And so I went home, I came back, and by the end of the night, it was like 10 o'clock, and I just felt so dizzy and so tired, and, my medications make me feel tired already, but, like, this was different. Like, it was more intense and severe, and so I couldn't even finish doing the dishes or anything. I just went home and I texted my boss. I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish. She's like, it's all right because I'm working tomorrow anyways, and I can do it. And so, but I was supposed to be working too. But I went home, took a shower, got in bed and fell asleep, and I woke up. I was having like this dream. I remember like a ship was in it, and the ship was going across like a dark night sky or something, and all of a sudden the ship was like coming a few inches in, and then it was like repeating itself, almost like a broken record type thing. And I woke up trying to force myself to wake up, and I noticed how my arms were like across my chest, and I lifted my head, but I couldn't like move. It was weird, and my whole body felt like glued to the bed, and I was like, this is strange. I got really scared, but I couldn't. My niece was beside me. I saw her. She was on the floor, and I tried to yell out for her, but I couldn't. I felt like I couldn't speak, and so I was wicked scared, and it took like... Alright, so I woke up, and it took a few minutes for me to go back to normal, but all of a sudden I feel like this release of pressure from my hands and my arms, and I can move them again, and I was like really scared because I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened to me last night. I told my boss, like, hey, I can't come in today because I was really scared. Like, I didn't know what it was, and I was going to call my doctor that day to see what they thought it was, and she's like, it's all right. I understand you worked hard last night, and so I called my doctor, and basically said, I don't know, I explained to him all the symptoms that happened, and I said, I don't know what it is. And they said, the nurse I talked to first, and she said she's gonna talk to my doctor and see what he thinks it is. And then, when your doctor calls you, because he was the one on the phone next, you're like, oh my God, something could be seriously wrong, because the doctor never gets on the phone with you. But it's like, he's like, I don't think it's anything serious. I don't think you need to worry. I think it's just some kind of sleep paralysis from some type of, stress or whatever. And when we have vivid dreams, sometimes that really does happen, where the fear can paralyze us. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And then new symptoms kept coming along and along. At first it was next it was like this thing where I didn't dream for a while. Like, I had pieces of dreams, and it was like they couldn't connect to each other. Like, they weren't putting, how it's like a movie all throughout a dream, and it's like they weren't connecting. Like, the pieces were not connecting, and I would get shocked out of my sleep. And I also felt like I couldn't breathe and I was dizzy, so I went to the doctors, and they found out I had a pneumonia, which I believe this is where I left off. Yeah. Yeah. So I asked my boss if she could, how I found out it was pneumonia was, I asked my boss if she could take me to the urgent care to see if they could figure out if I had something else, if I had something physically wrong with me, like when I have wicked bad anxiety, so when I get something in my head, it's like digging in there like crazy. And so she said yes to that. She said, and I don't remember. Okay, so I usually go to the Elliott Urgent Care. And this time I went to Dartmouth Hitchcock, which I'm glad that they actually do have an urgent care, because that's my hospital. Like, that's where my neurologist is, up in Lebanon though. Not here. Like, Dartmouth Hitchcock doesn't have an emergency room here. I told my dad, like, oh, I wish they did, after very, very stressful waiting period, because, you know, I hope that they do build a hospital up here, because that would be awesome. They have better care, I believe. So I explained to the doctor who I saw in urgent care what was going on, and she said she wanted to take a chest x-ray to see if there was anything wrong with the heart, and she did, but she also told me, like, oh, well, some of the symptoms you're describing to me seem like COVID-19 symptoms. And that's where she's like, so you either got two choices. There's certain times you could take the test. You could either take it tomorrow. I believe this was a Thursday, and she said you could take it tomorrow between this time and this time. And I was like, well, I don't have a ride down here. And I said, you know, I could probably get a ride next Monday. She's like, that's fine, but you know, you're going to be out of work until then, right? And I said, okay, and then it takes a day for the results to come in. And she's like, I didn't really find it like a big deal that I take the test, but